Hello everyone, and welcome to Mr. Simplified's tutorials. In this tutorial, we're going to look at Catwoe analysis, and we're going to simplify it with the use of an example. We've previously looked at Lewin's force field analysis model in this channel. Now that is a model that's helpful in managing business change. Similarly, a Catwoe analysis can be a key component when it comes to considering and managing change in an organization. For example, if you're looking to change your clunky accounting system, an old accounting system that you've got for a long time, that would be a business change. If you're investing in an online database management or CRM software and considering using those instead of using sheets of paper or Excel sheets, that is a business change. So these are all changes to the way the business is conducted, okay, in some way or the other. Every type of change has some type of effect on the people who are connected to the business in some way or another. Now, such people are called stakeholders. Stakeholders are everyone from the board of directors to the customers to even the security staff employed by the business. Now, these are people who are all affected by things that happen in the business or to the business. When it comes to managing change, it's important to understand different stakeholder perspectives at the planning stages of the change management exercise. This will ensure that there are no conflicts when it comes to later stages of the process. A Catwoe analysis is a tool that can be used to understand the perspective of different relevant stakeholders or stakeholder groups during the planning stages of a change management process. It will give us the perspective of each relevant stakeholder or stakeholder group, and this can help us eventually decide if embarking on this journey of change would indeed be beneficial. It can also be used to understand the general health of the business by understanding the perspectives of different stakeholders. Now let's look at what a Catwoe analysis looks like. Firstly, Catwoe was formulated by Peter Checkland in his 1990 book titled Soft Systems Methodology in Action. So it's a part of the soft systems methodology proposed by him. And here's what a Catwoe stands for. C stands for customers. Now, the people for whom the organization does what it does, or really the people who derive output from the business. So the people who derive output from the business are the customers or for the business. A stands for actors. Now, these are people who would actually do the work required for the business or would implement the changes proposed if this is for a change management exercise. T stands for transformation. Now, this is the actual process of inputs becoming outputs in the system or the system in place in the organization. See, every organization does some sort of an input to output transformation, and this is sort of like a summary of what the company actually does to actually transform input to output. W stands for worldview, extremely important. Now, these are the beliefs of the stakeholders in terms of why the organization exists and what it should be doing. So, in other words, this would also be the stakeholders' view of the world in which the business operates in and the purpose of the business in that world. This is the most important element of the analysis, and it's not unusual for analysts to actually run a Catwoe analysis by starting with this element. O stands for owner. Now, this is the stakeholder's perspective of who the business owner is and who has the power to make or break the business or the upcoming change in the change management context. E stands for environment. Now, these are rules and policies that the business operates within. Like every organization, every type of business has external factors or constraints that affect them. One can actually decide to run a pestle analysis here to map all of the external factors affecting the business. But these are those factors enlisted in this element here. The extent of information collected would depend on the type of project that's undertaken and the importance of the said stakeholders in the project. Now, not every type of a project would have the same sort of stakeholders. Different types of projects will have different stakeholder groups, different people who are directly affected by the project. So the detailing of it all actually depends on how important and how relevant the project is and how much it's affecting the different stakeholders. We can either just enlist information regarding each element with the perspective of each stakeholder, or go into great detail for absolutely every single element if it's a really critical project that we are running. So let's look at an example now to get all of this clarified for you. Okay, so in our example, we presume that a social media platform, a popular social media platform, is planning on introducing a new feature for its posts. Okay, now this could be like a dislike button or any new feature that's being planned. Now, before implementing this feature, the analysts wish to understand the perspective of two of their most important stakeholders, the users and the shareholders. Now let's look at each element from these two perspectives. It's important to remember that for every stakeholder group or every stakeholder, a Catwoe analysis is to be run fresh to understand their own perspective. So the number of stakeholders we have, the number of different perspectives we have, and the number of different Catwoe analysis we have to come up with. Okay, so let's look at the perspective of the users of the social media platform. So C stands for customers, and the customers will be individuals between the age of 18 to 45 who use the site for information and for entertainment. The next element is actors. The actors here would be programmers or software developers. The next element is transformation, and the transformation or the process to convert input from output from the perspective of the users would be to view information and to entertain themselves without too many disruptions and adverts. That is what a social media site is supposed to do. Okay, now the worldview for the users would be that people want to actually watch and listen to entertaining content or informative content without actually having to pay for using the actual portal or using the actual interface provided by the social media website. In terms of owners, it would be company shareholders, and in terms of the environment or the environmental constraints, it would be different countries imposing different censorship guidelines for content and usage. Now, this was the user perspective. Now, what would be the shareholder perspective? Customers would be individuals between the age of 18 to 45, again, who browse the site for entertainment and to purchase relevant commodities, mainly from adverts. The actors, again, would be programmers and software developers. The transformation would be to inform and entertain users and to maximize sales of relevant commodities and services based on their browsing habits. You see, there is a clear difference between the way a user sees transformation and the way a shareholder would, because obviously shareholders are interested in profit, and they're ultimately interested in how to maximize that profit and continue running the site so that profit is maximized. And this also reflects in their worldview, where they would believe that social media exists to entertain, inform, and retain users so that they click on and purchase commodities and services to ultimately boost advertising revenue. See, there is a this is why worldview is one of the most important elements of this whole analysis, because it straight away differentiates a shareholder's perspective from a user's perspective. Now, in terms of the next element, the owner, that would still be company shareholders, and the environmental constraints will still be different countries imposing different censorship guidelines for content and usage. So really the difference here is in the worldview of the shareholders, and the difference between the perspective of shareholders and users basically lies in worldview and transformation. So this, I hope, clarifies how a Catwoe analysis can actually be used. You can take on various different examples. You can play with it, starting from simple businesses to complex change management exercises in complex projects. But are there benefits and are there disadvantages of using the Catwoe analysis model? The benefits are clear. There is clarity of stakeholder perspectives from the start of the initiative. This always helps in ensuring that implementation is smoother. We get to look at multiple stakeholder perspectives, and that actually provides us really valuable overall insights, which can then help us improve business practices and profitability in general. So it doesn't have to be a change management tool, an aid to change management. A Catwoe analysis can actually be run even during business as usual, to understand how different stakeholders pursue the business. What are the shortcomings of a Catwoe analysis? It can be rather complex when it comes to larger projects and larger organizations, which will have several hundreds of stakeholders, as you'd imagine, or say stakeholder groups. So the larger the organization, the more complex the project, the more stakeholders that are involved, the more difficult it becomes to actually keep running a Catwoe analysis for each individual stakeholder or stakeholder group, because that is going to take a long time. And this leads to the second point, then, that it can lead to prolonged planning stages, which might not be beneficial for several larger projects which already require a lot of planning. So understanding the perspectives of each relevant stakeholder would really lengthen the size of the planning stage of a project. Complicated larger projects already take a lot of time, and this would actually not help in terms of managing timelines. Again, in similar lines to the point above, the length of the planning stages can actually be further lengthened by analysts who could take a long time to come up with a consensus with regards to actually analyzing the data that's acquired out of running a Catwoe analysis for each stakeholder group. Because you firstly have to run the analysis for each group, and then you have to collate all the information and see what changes would need to be made to the project plan at the planning stages. And all of this essentially would take a lot of time, and what's happening is a lot of time is being spent in the pre-planning stages of the project, whereas implementation could actually be of prime importance. Okay, I hope that was useful for you. I thank you very much for your attendance to this tutorial, and as always, please keep supporting this channel. Please like this content, and if you're new here, please subscribe. And also, please keep taking very good care of your family, your loved ones, and yourself. Take care. Bye-bye.